I am the human suppressor of my acerbic superior, who harbors an intense disdain for omegas. In public, I serve as his secretary, while in private, I am his intimate companion. Under the influence of his potent alpha pheromones, I underwent a secondary differentiation into an omega and have even conceived. Contemplating my superior's merciless methods, I fled. However, he invaded my balcony and grasped the nape of my neck, demanding, "Speak! Where do you intend to escape with such a prominent belly?" 1. Initially mistaking it for a mere cold, I was taken aback when the doctor drew my blood. The revelation that followed was life-altering. I was pregnant. Gazing at the test results, I was stunned to see my HCG levels soaring to 100,000. "But I am merely a beta," I exclaimed, "and a rather inferior one at that, with an underdeveloped gestational sac." The doctor slammed the report onto the table, stating, "You have been experiencing a fever for a week. Have you considered the possibility of secondary differentiation?" Secondary differentiation? The physician informed me that I was on the verge of transforming into an omega. "I can detect the pheromones of a high-ranking alpha emanating from you. You must have an alpha boyfriend, correct?" While boyfriend was a stretch, there was indeed a consistent physical relationship. "What about him?" I inquired. "Betas marked continuously by high-ranking alphas have a probability of undergoing secondary differentiation into omegas. You must be quite intimate, then." My cheeks flushed. Zhou Yan practically turned me into a soup dumpling with his fervor. Now, having become an omega, I was left pondering whom to confide in. He harbored a deep-seated disdain for omegas. A sigh escaped my lips. It seemed our 3-year relationship was drawing to a close. The doctor prescribed a box of painkillers and a set of suppressants, insisting I must inform my alpha of my condition. Both the unborn child and I required the soothing pheromones of a father. Yet, how could I bring myself to utter such words? Zhou Yan and I were high school classmates, and after graduating from university, I joined his company. During a celebratory feast as an intern, I inadvertently became entangled with him during his susceptible period, when he was pursued by an omega in heat. As an employee, I hastily intervened, but he lost his composure and kissed me. The next day, I awoke with sore muscles, and he coldly promoted me from intern to his personal secretary. By day, I shielded him from relentless omega advances, and by night, I alleviated his desires. Besides my monthly salary, he generously provided an additional bonus of 100,000 yuan. I certainly needed that money. My gambling father, my ailing mother, my sister in school, and the fractured state of my life. I gently placed my hand on my lower abdomen, fully aware that the wisest choice would be to terminate the pregnancy, concealing my omega identity, and maintain my relationship with Zhou Yan. However, the doctor had warned that this child could very well be my only one. 2. As I exited the hospital, Zhou Yan called, "Su Xingqiao, where have you been? Why didn't you come to work?" "I took a leave of absence," I began, but he abruptly interrupted, his tone icy. "No matter where you are right now, come to my office." Immediately, I stuffed the medication into my bag and hailed a cab straight to the company. The moment I opened the office door, Zhou Yan yanked me inside and kissed me fiercely. I locked the office door behind me, feeling a sense of oppression as the air became thick with his alpha pheromones, enveloping me like a dense fog. The first encounter with such an overpowering scent left my legs weak. The persistent ache in my neck suddenly ignited with warmth, mingled with the cold musk of his scent and a hint of sweet lily of the valley. It felt as though the aroma emanated from my own nape. The doctor had informed me of my impending differentiation into an omega, and panic surged within me as I shielded my neck, fearful that Zhou Yan would detect the scent and expel me on the spot. He harbored a profound aversion to omegas, verging on physiological disgust. Zhou Yan pressed me against the desk, tilting his head to inhale the scent from my neck. His heated breath sent my pulse racing. I instinctively recoiled.
"Su Xingyao.
You smell delightful today."
Doi.
I stammered. Zhou Yan seized my wrist, lifting it as he sank his teeth into my nape. The skin broke under his fervent bite, and he relentlessly injected his pheromones within me. An unfamiliar wave of pleasure coursed through my neck, prompting me to tilt my head back, releasing sounds that did not belong to me. Once it was over, Zhou Yan fell into a deep slumber. I opened the window to air the room, gathered the soiled bedding, and opened the office door. The head secretary stood at the threshold. Upon seeing me, he was momentarily taken aback, but upon noticing the hickeys on my neck, he fell silent. My bitten lips throbbed with pain as I instructed, Zhou is resting in the lounge. He can be awakened in an hour. I've taken a leave today and shall be heading home. The secretary eagerly replied, Of course, Secretary Su, you may return now. 3. Exhausted, I returned home and threw the sheets into the washing machine before collapsing into bed. When I groggily awoke, my phone vibrated incessantly. The sky had turned completely dark. Squinting at the screen, I saw a call from Zhou Yan. It was already past 10 at night. Such is the plight of a weary worker, I thought resignedly. Answering the call, Zhou.
Susing Yao.
Do you have any idea how many times I called you? Where have you been? I have a slight fever. I apologize, Zhou. I missed your calls. My voice was hoarse. A fever? Was it because of this afternoon when He suddenly paused, then abruptly changed the subject. I seem to have detected omega pheromones on you today. My heart raced. Logically, high-ranking alphas should be in a state of delirium during their susceptible phase. I was astonished that Zhou Yan even remembered. A chill ran down my spine. I was not prepared to confront the abrupt dissolution of our relationship when he coldly stated, Su Xingqiao, you are mine now. Do not misbehave, understood? I despise sharing. Should I discover that you have been involved with any other omegas or alphas, I will eliminate them. A sigh of relief escaped me as I quickly reassured him. Nothing of the sort has occurred. The scent must have come from the hospital. I didn't realize it. I apologize, Zhou. I will be more cautious next time. Zhou Yan remained silent, his breathing audible through the receiver. Zhou, will you be able to come to work tomorrow? How is your health? After a good sleep, I feel much better. I promise to be on time tomorrow. As soon as I finished speaking, Zhou Yan hung up. I tossed my phone onto the bed, breaking into a cold sweat in that brief moment. High-ranking alphas are not something my family can afford to contend with. It would be wise to extricate myself swiftly. My sister had been accepted into university and was now tutoring to earn her own tuition. My mother's condition had stabilized, and the doctor indicated she could be discharged after another week of observation. My father's gambling debts remained unpaid, yet my mother had initiated divorce proceedings against him. As an omega, she had endured years of domestic abuse. My sister had exposed this to the media, garnering widespread attention, and the court took the matter seriously, believing the divorce would soon be finalized. My father's debts would not be allocated for living expenses. Legally, he would bear sole responsibility. I would no longer need to rely on Zhou Yan's monthly bonuses to survive. 4. The following day, I applied a sufficient dosage of suppressants to mask the scent of my pheromones. Upon entering the office, Zhou Yan immediately furrowed his brows. I assumed it was due to lingering omega odors and raised my hand to sniff, detecting nothing but a subtle bitterness, the scent of the suppressants. Didn't they say betas easily absorb scents? After our passionate encounter yesterday, how come you bear no trace of it today? Su Xingqiao, did you deliberately wash it away? Not at all. Then what is the explanation? Why is there no trace of my scent on you?
Observing Yan's furieux visage.
I couldn't help but internally scoff at the absurdity of a high-ranking alpha in his sensitivity period. Is it truly a blessing to carry his scent? Isn't it preferable that I lack your scent? It would spare us from prying questions, and you detest others knowing of our relationship, don't you? Not at all. Zhou Yan muttered gloomily. The thoughts of a high-level alpha in a sensitive phase were inscrutable. I resolved to ignore him and place the documents on the desk. President Zhou, here is your itinerary for today. He flipped through it and remarked, You'll accompany me to the Xie family's banquet tonight. My role was to shadow Zhou Yan, warding off any omega that dared to approach him. I nodded in agreement. Understood. In the afternoon, Zhou Yan tossed me a pristine white suit. I gazed at him in bewilderment. Today you shall be my beta, so dress attractively. His beta? My heart raced uncontrollably. I shut the door to the lounge, and upon removing my clothes, I felt a chill on my back. Turning around, I found Zhou Yan leaning against the doorframe, his gaze predatory. Noticing my attention, he closed the door and approached me. He wrapped his arms around my waist, his alpha pheromones surging, causing my legs to weaken, forcing me to lean against his shoulder. The cool fabric of the suit sending shivers through me. My beta must undoubtedly exude my scent, he declared before capturing my lips in a fervent kiss. The heated air seemed ready to ignite my entire being. It was only when my alarm rang that he finally released me. Lying in bed, took me a while to regain my composure. Zhou Yan, in high spirits, smirked while assisting me with a bath and dressing me in the white suit. He scrutinized me before abruptly stating, I don't want you accompanying me. I was taken aback. wondering if I had somehow disappointed him. He grasped my chin, kissing my lips. Su Xingqiao, you are far too beautiful. I cannot bear for others to behold you. My cheeks flushed, and I averted my gaze from Zhou Yan's lust-laden eyes, fearing I would succumb to him and reluctant to part ways. The birthday banquet of the Xie family was a grand affair, teeming with guests. Xie Yubai, Zhou Yan's childhood friend and the de facto head of the Xie group, was an enigmatic figure, publicly recognized as a high-ranking S-level alpha. Yet he was, in truth, an enigma, a fact I learned from an overheard conversation between the two. Upon seeing me with Zhou Yan, he raised his glass to clink against mine, producing a clear sound. I tactfully excused myself to the restroom, but overheard Xie Yubai's voice behind me. When will you give Secretary Su a title? He is clearly a beta, yet he radiates your scent. This way, others won't covet what is mine. Yours? Zhou Yan, you finally admit to your fondness for him. Xie Yubai, what nonsense are you spouting? When did I ever say I liked him? Xie Yubai scoffed. Quickened my pace, my heart aching. Indeed, to Zhou Yan, I was merely a corporeal inhibitor. He could never harbor feelings for me. I should have relinquished such thoughts long ago. I splashed water on my face at the sink, gazing at my reflection in the mirror. The mere possibility of bearing Zhou Yan's child was a monumental gift from the heavens. I ought not to be greedy. Upon exiting, I was met with a potent scent of cold pine. Rushing over, I found Zhou Yan encircled by a throng of Omega, two of whom had collapsed beside him, flushed and desperately clinging to him, their bodies exuding Omega pheromones. The air was thick with the aroma of an aphrodisiac. In his sensitive phase, Zhou Yan's pheromones erupted uncontrollably under such stimuli. To prevent chaos, I held my breath and hurried to support him. After rescuing the dazed Zhou Yan, I informed security about the situation. Once they departed, Zhou Yan pinned me against the wall, his pheromones wildly brushing against me. I opened a nearby room at random. Once inside and the door locked, his clothing lay in tatters, and he gazed at me with those beseeching eyes. Su Xingqiao, they plotted against me. I feel so unwell. I was overwhelmed by his pheromones, my legs weak, the glands on my nape throbbing with irritation, reddened and swollen, while a faint scent of lily of the valley lingered in the air. He drew close, his warm breath cascading over my nape, his eyes ablaze, as he sank his teeth into my gland. He then trailed kisses down my neck, gripping my waist with such force I feared he might meld me into his very being. Terrified of falling and harming the child within me, I clung tightly to him. When Zhou Yan finally reached his climax, my legs gave way, and I opened a window for ventilation before collapsing onto the bed in a deep slumber. When I awoke again, daylight streamed in, and Zhou Yan, barefoot and irritable, treaded on the remnants of his torn clothing, brandishing his phone and commanding, "Investigate. Find out who had the audacity to send people my way." I propped myself up, already harboring a suspect in my mind. Zhou Yan's stepmother had always desired him to marry a well-matched Omega, obedient to his father's wishes. I was oblivious to her reasons for despising Omega, yet I knew Zhou Yan constantly clashed with his father. Disgusting. Those vile Omegas. The glands on my nape still throbbed with pain, the scent of lily of the valley lingering stubbornly. Were Omegas truly that unforgivable in Zhou Yan's eyes? I was an Omega now. Zhou Yan suddenly glared fiercely at me. Su Xingqiao, what is that scent on you? I dared not speak, my face paling as I concealed the inflamed nape. It must be the scent from those frenzied Omegas yesterday. It reeks. Go wash up. Slowly, I descended from the bed, my exposed skin marred with marks. I glanced at the hickey on my wrist. Zhou Yan had nearly explored every inch of my body. Hesitantly, I asked, is being an Omega so detestable? What if I were an Omega? The moment the words left my mouth, regret washed over me. Why did I assume I was special to Zhou Yan? Thankfully, my voice was barely audible. I hoped he hadn't heard, but the acute hearing of a high-ranking alpha was impeccable, and he caught my inquiry. His wolf-like gaze fixated on me, and I felt the temperature around us drop by a few degrees. Su Xingqiao, you are a beta, not an Omega. Omegas are the most loathsome creatures. You will never become an Omega. I shut my eyes. Unfortunately, I had been influenced by your potent pheromones, undergoing a secondary differentiation into an Omega. I was now a bona fide Omega. As anticipated, Zhou Yan's stepmother sought me out. The hurried figure from that day was indeed her. Those frenzied Omegas had all been her doing. She invited me to a high-end cafe near the company. As I took my seat, She slid a check across the table. 5 million. To buy me away from Zhou Yan. Before I could utter a word, she presented a photograph showing me purchasing omega suppressants at a pharmacy. Perhaps I bought these with my mother. As you know, she is an omega. I know not. The middle-aged male omega before me remained strikingly beautiful, yet his eyes were filled with calculating intent. He smirked slightly, saying, "If you were to inform Zhou Yan about this matter, I am certain he would investigate you thoroughly. At that point, Secretary Su, you would not be in the same advantageous position you presently enjoy." My face paled. If Zhou Yan were to dig into my past, he would undoubtedly uncover the details of my secondary differentiation and my pregnancy. Whether this was a stroke of luck or misfortune, I could not tell. This man before me knew I was an omega, but he remained oblivious to my condition. I accepted the check. After taking the afternoon off to transfer the funds to my card, I submitted my resignation to Human Resources. I swiftly blocked and deleted all of Zhou Yan's contact information. I chose to forego my final month's salary and packed my belongings to leave that very afternoon, returning home with my mother, who had just been discharged from the hospital. Upon her release, my father knelt on the floor, repeatedly striking his own face in a desperate plea for her forgiveness. My sister stood by the door, wielding a kitchen knife, ready to strike should he take a single step forward. I sat in the room, coldly observing him while he begged, "Xing, please ask your mother to let me in. Do you not remember how well I treated you before? We can still be a family." I clenched my fists and spat out a curt "get lost." That night, as I lay in bed, I tossed and turned, unable to find sleep. My father had indeed been good to me in the past, yet the nightmares were filled with the stench of blood. After losing a bet, he would often lash out at me, dragging my sick mother from her hospital room, stealing the money I had saved for her surgery, and even selling my alpha sister. The day he sold her, I bit into his arm in a frenzy, and he retaliated with a stick, declaring, "You useless beta, you're not even worth selling. If only you were an omega." After knocking me unconscious, he returned to gambling. Upon waking, I fled the house in a panic, and as I ran towards the police station, I collided headlong into Zhou Yan. Blood from my head smeared onto his pristine white shirt, and he furrowed his brow, seizing me by the arm. "Su Xingqiao, why are you covered in blood?" At that time, he had been my classmate for a month, but our interactions had been minimal. I only knew that his family wielded power and influence, capable of rescuing my sister from human traffickers. Clinging to him as though he were a lifeline, I implored, "Zhou Yan, please save my sister." The details that followed are hazy. I recall that Zhou Yan took me to the hospital after I sustained a head injury and was covered in welts. When I regained consciousness, my sister sat by my bedside, eating. From that day forth, I became Zhou Yan's subordinate. His financial support was sufficient to sustain my family. I buried my altered gratitude towards him deep within my heart. My hand gently rested upon my abdomen. "Zhou Yan, consider this a reward for accompanying you all these years." The divorce proceedings between my parents proved arduous, and it seemed a classmate of mine had become a lawyer. After some effort, I obtained his contact information and arranged to meet him, boarding a high-speed train the following day. However, I was unprepared for the presence of an extraordinarily familiar figure beside him. Zhou Yan. In that instant, I felt the urge to flee. Yet the materials in my hand were searingly hot. My mother had wasted her entire life due to that scoundrel. Moreover, as soon as I made an appearance, Zhou Yan would undoubtedly track my whereabouts. There was no escaping now. I feigned composure and handed over the evidence of domestic violence and gambling. My demands were simple. They should divorce, and the debts incurred from gambling should be borne solely by that scoundrel. After finalizing our strategy, I dragged my weary body into the hotel, only to be seized by the waist and pushed inside as I swiped my card. He pinned me against the door. The room was dimly lit by the outside glow, obscuring his expression, but I heard him grit his teeth and say, "Su Xingqiao, is it for the 5 million that you cast me aside?" The tension in my chest eased. It seemed he had not investigated me. He remained unaware of my pregnancy. Zhou Yan was prideful and petulant. He must have been infuriated by my absence during this time. His visit was merely a manifestation of his inability to swallow his pride. I smiled at him. "Zhou, I believe you are mistaken. There is no question of abandonment between us. We are merely engaged in a transaction. I serve as your bed partner, and you pay me 100,000 a month." My words hung in the air, and the room fell into an eerie silence. Zhou Yan's breathing grew heavier. I knew this young master was wounded by my words. He resembled a proud, immature lion, and after this moment, he would not bow his head again. True to form, Zhou Yan released me, his teeth clenched. Su Xingqiao, do not regret this. He slammed the door behind him as he left. Perhaps he found it difficult to believe that I, who had always been in his shadow, obediently following his commands, had truly left him for the sake of 5 million. Thus, he was determined to seek clarification from me. He wanted an explanation, yet I refused to provide the answer he most desired. I understood Zhou Yan well. This time we would indeed have no further connections. Numbly, I inserted the card into the slot, mechanically removed my clothing, and lay down on the bed, wrapping myself tightly like a dumpling. My hands guarded my abdomen protectively. This was the best choice. Zhou Yan would no longer pursue me. Leave behind the father, keep the child. This was the most favorable outcome. After a night's rest, I took the high-speed train back home. However, I did not anticipate that the divorce proceedings would drag on for 6 months. It was not until just before the new year that the court date was finally confirmed. On New Year's Eve, I donned a thick gray wool coat to conceal my visibly growing belly and sat at the table for the reunion dinner. My sister burst in, waving a fairy wand. Brother, there's a luxury car downstairs. Is it your boss, Zhou Yan?
Impossible.
I shook my head, he would never come. My sister pulled me to the balcony to watch the fireworks. Massive bursts of color illuminated the sky, and as I glanced down, I saw Zhou Yan standing beside the luxury car, his gaze fixed intently on me. My heart sank, and I tightened my coat around me. Then I noticed Zhou Yan retrieving a multitude of items from the trunk and ascending the stairs to my home. His actions felt as monumental as a comet colliding with the earth. I turned to retreat indoors, where my mother had already opened the door. Zhou Yan stood at the entrance, wearing an innocuous smile. Auntie, I'm Su Xingxiao's colleague, here to wish you a happy new year. I remember you. You're Xiao Zhou, Xingxing's high school classmate. Please come in. My mother welcomed him. As she turned away, I leaned closer to Zhou Yan, lowering my voice. What are you doing here? I adjusted my clothing again, fearful that he might discern my condition, and urged him, you need to leave. He ignored my plea and began eating. My mother, delighted, poured him a full glass of wine. It's snowing outside, you should stay here tonight. We have a guest room available. I'll prepare it for you shortly. No need, Mom. He'll be leaving soon. I interjected hurriedly. My mother looked at me disapprovingly. Xiao Zhou brought Xingxing over. To send away a lifesaver on New Year's is to invite misfortune. I dared not speak further. Our family could not withstand such misfortune. That night, I assumed I would be unable to sleep with Zhou Yan present. What did his visit signify? After all these years, did I hold some significance in his heart? Otherwise, he would not have traveled such a distance to see me on New Year's. Yet before I could contemplate this further, my eyelids grew heavy, and I succumbed to slumber. In the late stages of my pregnancy, fatigue enveloped me, and as I was on the verge of slumber, I sensed someone pushing open my bedroom door. Before I could fully comprehend the situation, he climbed onto my bed and wrapped his arms around my waist. In the next instant, he abruptly sat up and flicked on the bedside lamp. The sudden brightness made me squint. Zhou Yan, his expression cold, threw back the covers and gazed at me with eyes wide in shock. Su Xingqiao, you're pregnant. Then, he caught the unfamiliar scent of alpha pheromones emanating from me. It was the alpha pheromone soothing agent prescribed by the hospital, a synthetically created pheromone designed to calm unpartnered omega expectant fathers. His face gradually darkened, his eyes turning crimson as he demanded, "Whose is it? Is it this alpha S scent on you?" "Yes," I replied softly. Zhou Yan's eyes filled with tears, as if they were poised to spill at any moment. He pounded the bed in frustration and almost stumbled out of my room. The air still carried the chill of his alpha pheromones. Exhausted, I lay back on the bed, hearing the front door slam shut. My mother, rubbing her eyes, approached. "What happened? Did Xiao Zhou leave?" "Yes," I murmured, pulling the covers over me. "He had to go home for family matters." My mother replied, "That makes sense. It's a bit inappropriate for him to stay here during the New Year festivities. But it's quite late, and with the heavy snow, I wonder if he'll manage to get home safely. He has a high-level alpha, he'll be fine, Mom. Don't worry, just go back to sleep."
I am utterly exhausted.
My mother sighed and gently closed the door behind her. I peeked out from under the covers, staring blankly at the ceiling. Zhou Yan's scent lingered on the blankets. I clutched the covers to my chest. My high school years were bleak and dark, and Zhou Yan was the sole light in my life. To support my mother's illness and my sister's tuition, I worked multiple jobs alongside my studies. While cleaning the basketball court after school, I encountered Zhou Yan playing with his friends. He frowned and called out, "Hey, Su Xingqiao, go buy us some water." I set down the mop and brought back a case of water. Zhou Yan transferred 10,000 yuan to me. From that point on, my time was entirely consumed by him. As the eldest son of the Zhou family, he demanded ice-cold water and insisted on fresh ingredients for every meal, which I prepared in the apartment he rented. With food and running errands, I could earn 1,000 a day. Life was a struggle, and I mulled over my secret feelings for Zhou Yan in the solitude of the night, tasting a hint of sweetness from his kindness towards me. Yet, I understood that this was merely my own sentimental delusion. I closed my eyes, banishing all thoughts from my mind, and gradually drifted into a deep sleep, feeling warmth wash over me. I was lost to the world until my sister called me to wakefulness. Still somewhat dazed, she said, "That luxury car is still downstairs. Your boss hasn't left." Furrowing my brow, I wondered, had he spent the entire night in the car? I got out of bed, but my neck ached, and my head felt heavy. "Brother, why is your face so red?" "It must be from sleeping too long," I said, patting my face. "I'll go check." Bundled in a thick coat, I ventured outside and stood next to Zhou Yan's car, which was covered with a layer of snow. I knocked on the window, and Zhou Yan frowned as he got out, draping his jacket over my shoulders. "What are you doing out here? You're dressed too lightly." A warmth surged in my chest as I asked, "Why haven't you left?" Zhou Yan fell silent for a moment, then declared fiercely, "I want to know which alpha is responsible for your pregnancy, leaving you all alone during the new year." A warm current flowed through me, igniting the glands at the nape of my neck. Zhou Yan truly cared for me. "You!" My vision suddenly blurred.
Su Xingqiao.
The last thing I saw was Zhou Yan's anxious face before I lost consciousness. When I awoke, I heard the attending physician berating someone. "So you are his alpha? Do you have any idea how much a pregnant husband needs pheromone soothing? You've been absent. Is work more important than your child and wife?" I quickly interjected, "Yes, not." The doctor, mistaking my tone for anger, snapped at Zhou Yan, "Go take care of your wife. She has been through a lot during this pregnancy." After the doctor left, Zhou Yan's eyes were bloodshot.
Su Xingqiao.
"Is this how he treats you? Who is it? Is he the reason you left me?" "It has nothing to do with you, Zhou Yan. Just go." I spoke coldly. Zhou Yan fell silent, his entire being resembling a powder keg ready to explode. The scent of fur from his pheromones leaked out, and the absence of alpha pheromones during my pregnancy made me feel immense distress. My body craved Zhou Yan's pheromones, but I understood that it was difficult to revert from luxury to frugality. "Zhou Yan, we're no longer connected. Please leave." Zhou Yan departed, and I sighed in relief, unaware that my mother was blocking him outside the door. "Auntie knows you're a good kid, but even if you quarreled with Xingxing, you can't just abandon him. You don't understand how hard it is for him carrying a child." Zhou Yan's pupils flickered, and he turned back, pushing open my hospital room door. He sat at my bedside. "Su Xingqiao, if your alpha doesn't want you anymore, I can be the father of your child. Do you have feelings for me?" I asked. Zhou Yan remained silent, and my heart skipped a beat. I then forced a smile, saying, "Zhou Yan, I'm not a beta. I'm an omega. I'm the omega you despise the most." Zhou Yan retched. I believed he would never return. After the new year, the divorce proceedings commenced, and my mother resolutely divorced the scoundrel. Everything seemed to be progressing in a positive direction. Late at night, as my due date approached, I meticulously organized my maternity bag. Suddenly, the balcony window rattled, and in the darkness, someone agilely climbed inside. I gripped the cup on my bedside table tightly, but upon recognizing his face, I relaxed. Zhou Yan approached, his eyes red. I frowned. "What are you doing here?" "You're carrying my child, Su Xingqiao. Do I not even have the right to know?" My heart sank, and I instinctively stood to flee. He grasped the nape of my neck, saying, "Where do you think you're going with that belly?" The warmth of his hand brushed against my glands, causing my legs to turn to jelly. The air was thick with the scent of high-level alpha pheromones, soothing pheromones.
Su Xingqiao.
"Don't be afraid. I'm not here to settle scores. I'm here to be a father to our child." Just as I was about to respond, a bright flashlight illuminated the balcony. With a loud crash, A large stone was thrown through the window. Su Xingqiao, get down here now. Zhou Yan shielded me behind him. If you don't come down, I'll stab your mother. I pushed Zhou Yan aside and rushed to the balcony, only to see that scoundrel father of mine holding my mother hostage, flanked by a group of familiar faces, the debt collectors. Su Dahong, don't do anything reckless. I turned to rush downstairs, but Zhou Yan seized my wrist. Stay here. I can't. I need to go. Xingxing, don't be afraid. I'm a high-level alpha. They're no match for me. With that, Zhou Yan leaped off the balcony. I hurried to the edge, the dim light making it impossible to discern the chaos below. My mother broke free from the group. The debt collectors had fled in haste, and the cold, oppressive pheromones emanating from Zhou Yan enveloped me. My father lay on the ground, wailing. I breathed a sigh of relief, yet felt a warmth cascading down my legs. My sister rushed over, and upon seeing the puddle at my feet, her eyes widened in alarm. Brother, your amniotic fluid has broken. We need to get to the hospital. She grabbed my hospital bag and supported me as we hurried downstairs. My mother, appearing disheveled and dirty, maintained her composure upon noticing my damp trousers. Xingxing, do not be afraid. Even if your water has broken, it is not a cause for panic. We will drive to the hospital immediately. As I descended the stairs, Zhou Yan looked at me with shock, assisting me into the back seat of the car, continuously releasing calming alpha pheromones throughout the journey. I was swiftly ushered into the delivery room. Having gone into premature labor under duress, Zhou Yan remained inside, emitting soothing alpha pheromones. The birth was arduous. I was drenched in cold sweat from the pain, grateful for Zhou Yan's calming presence, which kept me from losing consciousness. Upon hearing the baby's resounding cries, tears streamed down my face. Zhou Yan cradled the child and pushed me out, and after ensuring the baby and I were in my mother's care, he collapsed to the floor. The dark coat he wore touched the ground, leaving a trail of crimson blood on the pristine white tiles. I stared at him in disbelief. Someone has fainted here. A throng of nurses surrounded Zhou Yan. The patient has been stabbed in the back. Someone call for help. Prepare for resuscitation. The child in my arms wailed loudly. I gazed at Zhou Yan on the ground. Had he lost his mind? Even after being stabbed, he continued to release such an abundance of calming pheromones. Did he truly wish to forsake his life? I waited anxiously outside the operating room. The baby had arrived a few days early but was healthy, taken away by my sister for examination. My mother sighed as she pushed my wheelchair from behind. Xingxing, I do not know what transpired between you two, but from what I see, Zhou is quite a decent person. Let us give him a chance, shall we? I fixed my gaze on the words in surgery and nodded. If he could survive, I would grant him a chance. I would also give myself a chance. Zhou Yan did not perish. He confided in me the reasons behind his disdain for omegas. He was born to a low-quality alpha, whose father had deceived and possessed him obsessively. When his alpha mother spoke to an omega, he had mutilated the alpha's glands. Yet, it was he who crossed the line with another omega, one with whom he shared a perfect compatibility of 100. His mother could not bear the betrayal and chose to end her life by jumping from a building. Zhou Yan developed a physiological aversion to omegas. He despised being driven to primal instincts by pheromones. He grasped my hand, confessing, I liked you even when you were a beta, but I never truly understood my feelings. Now that I have turned you into an omega, can I take responsibility and care for you for life? Zhou Yan was arrogant, sharp-tongued, and immature. Yet, it was undeniable that he was my light. Embracing that light felt effortless. Zhou Yan's side story Xia Yubai remarked that if I did not provide Su Xingqiao with a formal title soon, he would run away. I was skeptical. Su Xingqiao had followed me loyally for so many years. He would never abandon me. I did not anticipate that my stepmother had bribed him with 5 million. By the time I realized it, he had vanished without a trace, even blocking my contact information. Enraged, I drowned my sorrows in alcohol at a bar. Xia Yubai mocked me, calling me a colossal fool. I thought back to how obedient Su Xingqiao had once been. How dared he? I could not swallow my indignation. Hearing he was seeking a lawyer to file for divorce, I contacted a classmate and accompanied him to confront Su Xingqiao. I hoped he would explain his actions to me. I would forgive him and allow him to continue as my secretary, maintaining our previous relationship. However, he stated that our connection was merely transactional. What of the 10 years we shared? I stormed out in fury, enraged at Su Xingqiao's perceived lack of heart. I buried myself in work to numb the pain, but the more I toiled day after day, the more I longed for Su Xingqiao, yearning for everything about him. I adored the tea he brewed, the meals he prepared, the bed he made, and the presentations he crafted. Xie Yubai insisted I was in love with him, and I acknowledged the truth. Yet, why had Su Xingqiao not turned back? Did he truly not regret his decision? My frustration mounted, but I was relentless. I endured, using suppressants to navigate through one vulnerable period after another. Yet, my dreams were haunted by his image. During the new year, when my family was estranged, I found myself alone in the villa. I thought of Su Xingqiao. If he were here, he would surely prepare a grand feast for me. Since high school, his first words of New Year greetings had always been meticulously timed. In an impulse of fate, I loaded a car with gifts and drove hundreds of kilometers to Su Xingqiao's hometown on New Year's Eve. The moment I laid eyes on him, I wished to meld him into my very being. Yet he seemed unwelcoming, which dampened my spirits. In the dead of night, I climbed into his bed, and as I wrapped my arms around his waist, I discovered he was pregnant. In that instant, my ears rang. He was carrying another alpha's child. Fury surged within me. Which alpha dared to mistreat Su Xingqiao? I pounded the steering wheel in my car, breathless with anguish. I wanted to eliminate the alpha who had claimed Su Xingqiao's heart. After a night of jealousy, my resentment only grew. How could this irresponsible scoundrel alpha treat him so cruelly? Su Xingqiao had even fainted. The attending physician scolded me thoroughly. I would have preferred to be the child's father. I could endure any insults hurled at me. Yet Su Xingqiao insisted I was not. Dejected, I exited the room. To my astonishment, Su Xingqiao's mother had also regarded me as the child's father. Clearly, that alpha was not only irresponsible but had not even shown his face. If that was the case, I would embrace the role of the child's father. But Su Xingqiao told me he was an omega. I felt nauseous. I could not contain my emotions. I was bewildered, unsure when he had begun deceiving me. My feelings became a tumultuous storm. Returning home in a daze, I collided with Xie Yubai, who exclaimed, "Zhou Yan, are you foolish? If you want to know something, why not investigate? As far as I know, high-ranking alphas can transform betas into omegas." I discovered the hospital where Su Xingqiao had been treated. I learned that he had already been pregnant during the time he was by my side and had undergone a second differentiation into an omega. The scent of lilies of the valley lingered in the air, yet I had never noticed. No wonder he had left. I had merely reveled in his presence without ever caring for him. I was the very alpha who had bullied Su Xingqiao. My heart sank with regret, realizing how he, as a pregnant omega, must have endured without the comfort of an alpha's pheromones. How helpless and tormented he must have felt. I yearned to rush to his side, and so I did. I arrived at his home as swiftly as possible, climbing through his window. This time I was determined to seize my omega. I would treat him well. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing and liking to support. Until we meet again in the next story.